Hello my darlings and welcome. Today I'd like to show you how I created 3 magical sigils for social justice. I encourage you to use these sigils in your magical workings and your daily life if they speak to you. Let's do some magical crafting. Before I get started, I wanted to let you know that I have designed 4 printable worksheets for sigil creation. If you'd like to download a PDF of these worksheets, please visit Magical Crafting on Patreon at the link below the video. My patrons can download recipes, Book of Shadows pages, artwork, and more, all provided as PDFs, and I'll continue to add new downloadable content as I do more projects on the channel. In this video, I'll show you how to create sigils with the sigil creation method on these top 2 worksheets. I'm creating these sigils as a way for me to combat the hate and injustice I see all around me. This is one way I can use my gift for witchcraft to act for change. The first sigil I'm making is for protection for protesters. The first method I'm using is a number and letter grid with a 9-square grid. First, I write out my intent: protect the protesters. Next, I create a number and letter matrix to match the number of squares on my chart, 1 to 9 across. Then I fill in the alphabet from left to right. Next, I cross out all the vowels, leaving only consonants, the manifesting sounds. And if a consonant is repeated, I use it only one time. This leaves me with PRT, CHS. Then I go to the original number matrix and assign a number to each letter. I get 792, 381. Next, I draw a square with 9 squares inside and number them 1 to 9. The number of squares matches the numbers across in the alphabet grid above it. This is where the sigil comes to life. I take the numbers and bring them into the shape, placing a point on each number in the order the numbers appear, and I draw lines in between. Here's the shape we ended up with, but I wanted to add a little bit more protection to this sigil. I'm inspired by these seed pods from the gum tree. They're commonly called witches' balls or witches' burrs. They're used in protective magic because of their prickly exterior. I'm going to add some of this protective symbolism to my sigil by adding prickly spikes to the sigil as well. Here's the final sigil. One way to use it would be to draw or paint it on the back of a protest sign or a shield. If you or someone you know is going to a protest, you could draw this sigil on your skin or on a piece of paper to keep on your person. You could also use the sigil in spell work and ritual to send protection to others. The second method for creating a sigil does not have any number or letter charts or tables. This method uses the shapes of the letters themselves to create the sigil. I write out the words for my sigil, Black Lives Matter. And then I write out only the consonants, the manifesting sounds. I disregard all vowels and repeating consonants. This leaves us with BLC, KVS, MTR. Now I take some time to look at the letters I have to work with, thinking about their shapes and how they might come together as a graphic symbol. I begin with the letter B sideways on top, and then the letter V below it to create a heart shape. Next, I add the letter M upside down under the B. And then I draw the letter K right over the letter B so that 2 lines stick up out of the top of the heart shape. Next comes the letter L, which I place all the way down at the bottom through the center. I have to pause here to add a correction. It looks like I forgot to add the letter T. However, it is included in the sigil here. The letters R and S go side by side. I put them near the bottom. And the final addition is the letter C, which I place sideways at the very bottom. I could stop there and this symbol could be the completed sigil, but I want to get creative with the shapes and make the sigil more artistic and symmetrical by loosening up the letter structure while still preserving the integrity of the original shapes. You can create a sigil in any way that feels best to you. You can rearrange the letters in a completely different manner and come up with something altogether different. Use your intuition and keep working until you get a sigil that speaks to your heart. Every sigil will come out looking different. This is what makes them unique to each individual. I drew the sigil 2 more times with small changes, and I ended up with a very pretty sigil that reminds me of the 3 of Swords tarot card a little bit. In a tarot reading, the 3 of Swords can indicate a period of difficulty or hardship, upset, and upheaval. I love the way this sigil came out. The 3rd sigil uses the same method as the 2nd. I'm writing out my intention sentence: defund the police. Then I cross out all the vowels, leaving only the consonants, the manifesting sounds. I disregard all vowels and repeating consonants. This leaves me with DFN THPLC. Now I take some time to look at the letters I have to work with, thinking about their shapes and how they might come together as a graphic symbol. And I'm starting with the letters D and C. I write them together so they look like an oval with a bisecting line down the middle. Next, I add the letter T underneath. This almost resembles an Ankh symbol now. Adding 2 sideways lines to the T creates the letter H. Then 1 diagonal line creates the letter N. I add the letter L at the bottom of the sigil. Then I balance that out by adding the letter F upside down at the bottom as well. The final letter is P, which I realize is already living within the sigil at the top where I originally drew the letter C. And so I use that for the letter P instead and include the letter C sideways on top. Then I redraw the sigil, adding some artistic embellishments in the form of dots. For a sigil to be active and work towards its intent, it must be charged with energy. Direct energy from any source to program the sigil and work towards its intent. Any energy can be used to charge a sigil: fire, light, heat, movement, extreme emotion, sound, water, wind, and more. It's really up to your own personal preference. Probably the most well-known method of charging is to burn the sigil. You may wish to charge a sigil for justice with your emotions or with fire. Whatever method you choose, it's important to focus on the intent of the sigil as you do it. You're directing the energy into your sigil to accomplish a particular goal. I encourage you to use any of the sigils I've created here in a rituals or spell work for justice. And I hope this video has inspired you to try your hand at making one and given you some ideas on how to go about it. And if you made it all the way to the end of this video, let me know in the comments below which of the 3 social justice sigils you like the best, or how you might use them in your magical workings.